I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See my man. Has anybody had a chance, or everyone had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous two meetings, February 10th, as well as the joint meeting on March 3rd? Any corrections?
I think there was one thing in the minutes, and just because that's been a hot topic, I think the minutes say that Todd had said they were gonna build the trail up to flood stage.
No,
And that is, well, that's what the minutes say.
okay,
And it is not gonna be a flood stage. I don't think that's feasible. But
Correct.
they were gonna build it up like 3 feet.
right.
So I didn't want someone to read the minutes and
Good
later
catch.
say they were
Good idea.
supposed to build this to flood stage, so.
It was based on the average of where it comes up
Right.
now.
Right,
Which-
but not flood stage. So
Correct.
I think we should correct that and then
That'd be about 20 feet.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Also,
Motion is made by Denise and seconded by Jeff. All of those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Has everybody had a chance to review and acknowledge the clerk's monthly report for January 2025? Any questions or concerns regarding that? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
make a motion, we approve the financial report.
Motion is made by Todd Hay. Can I get a second? Denise Crowder. All of those in favor? 5-0. Report of collections as submitted. Has everybody had a chance to look at that? Did we get that? Any questions or concerns? Can I get a motion to approve? Jimmy Key, seconded by Jeff Fisher. All of those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Review and acknowledge treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report. Any questions or concerns in regards to that? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Todd? May I get a second?
Second.
Jeff Fisher. All of those in favor? 5-0. Okay, Dana, she here?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody get the paper, and I.
Yes, did everyone get one of these?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm asking for a position that was taken out of the budget, usually it was probably taken out, and then I took over in 2023, and I apologize that I'm just now seeing it. It was considered a full-time position, it's called a floaters position, which takes over all of the full-time overtime hours with less pay. Like I said, it was a full-time position, which they were able to have overtime and a lot of benefits. However, I do have a part-timer that has come to me and has asked if they could take the floaters position with staying at part-time, however, upping the hourly wage just a tad bit with no benefits They do not need those, and no overtime would be allotted for this position. For the full-time position, it runs like a normal dispatcher's position, around $47,000, $48,000 a year. If it's put back in as a full-time, which that gives them overtime hours to work as well, if we do full-time plus benefits. As part-time, like I said, no overtime. The most hours would be worked on a pay would be 76. The set hours would be 64, which is 2 days a week, equals 8 to 9 days a month, which would again be taking the full-time overtime hours, so not paying the full-timers their overtime pay. So I'm asking for if we can up the hourly wage to $22 an hour, which 64 hours per pay would be $1,408. If the individual does 76 hours per pay, it'd be $1,672, which yearly roughly around 35,112. That would be the 76 hours. The 64 hours without the 76 hours would be $29,568.
Okay, I talked to Ken and we figured out what happened and why it got left off.
Okay,
So this was a transition period, I think, from when you came on and Kathleen was leaving.
Okay.
And we also believe, and this might be wrong, is that when he did the budget, it worked out hours wise with one less position.
okay.
So I don't know if the position you're asking for, part-time, or the full-time,
I'm asking for just the part-time.
just
not
the
full-time.
part-time. Okay.
Because she would be willing to do the part-time and keep it at part-time because her husband works and does not need any benefits. And then she is acknowledged, and I've also explained to her that there will be no overtime that is allotted with this position.
Okay. And you would like for this person to start immediately or?
April would be nice.
Okay.
One thing to keep in mind, if you do that for a position with this person, they don't need benefits, but if they would leave and then you replace them, you can't tell that next person, sorry, So we may not have to consider the benefits now, but that's not to say
In the
we
future.
wouldn't, yeah.
If she does go full-time, she has to work the 76 hours, which is a little harder to put that in there. Ever since I've been here, we've had a floater position once and they worked two shifts and they were done. Floater's position is a hard position to fill. It's a 2 p.m. to a 10 p.m. shift. It's on Thursdays and Sundays. Not a lot of people will work that. Not a lot of people want to work that shift. We've not actually had the staffing to do this, to put this in play. I actually have the staffing now to do it and put it in play.
And if everything goes smoothly, the person will stay.
Yes, she's planning on staying as long as she's allotted to stay here in the part-time position with this money as a floater for the 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thursdays and Sundays.
And then you want to increase the hourly rate
Yes,
just slightly.
Yes.
Do we know what it is currently
it's $19 an hour.
for the 22?
Yes,
Where would we even get this from with the other stuff we have on the plate?
We'll have to do an additional appropriation because,
Somewhere, I mean.
yeah. It would probably have to come from the county.
We've already, I mean, I don't know, we've got
Taking a meeting.
Greenway and economic development still hanging out there on our plate, so
And
I
the
don't know how
Greenway
much.
project.
That's what the Greenway and economic development contract, wait, hanging out there, so it makes me nervous.
Yes, I agree. I don't want to make this decision today. I would have a lot more time to talk
Yeah,
about
we've
this
got
so we
to
can
figure out
run
if
the
we can
numbers.
even find it.
Yeah,
So just for the 21 pays for my regular full-time employees. For 21 pays, deputy director will make $6,649.02 for overtime. For my CTOs times 2 is going to be $12,348 for the rest of the pays for the year for the overtime. For my operators times 5 will be $29,080.80 for the rest of the year, roughly around $49,000-$50,000. So it will cut monies down for overtime.
So I think
For the-
when I look at the budget, it looks like you've got 20,000 in your budget for overtime, so we're already gonna be in the hole.
I have 20,000 in,
Overtime.
and I have 30,000 left. 30,000 some in. Because I've got some in county, some in the E911, which is non-regulating, as well as the state.
So having a floater would actually save us money in the long run, is what you're saying?
And I've been utilizing my part-timers.
Can it be moved out of overtime and the other account you
I don't-
mentioned then to,
That I don't know, and I'm a little worried about that as well, because there will be times where my full-timers will have to work overtime. I can't foresee the future. I've got a few in here that have loved ones that are sick, so therefore FMLA has been mentioned. So that will have to be covered as well. Just don't know what's going to happen in the future. But it would be saving money for the county in the long run. And if I could move money, I will move money. I don't have a problem with moving money.
so out of the 50,000 projected for overtime, we would take 35,000 out of that 50,000 to pay. So basically, you're just shipping money. I personally feel like we need more time to think about this. We gotta put into play what we've got coming out. That's my.
I would agree with that. I mean, if I knew it was gonna come out of the overtime and those budgets that we already have budgeted, because it's truly saving us money, then I'm okay. But if we have this position and then there's still overtime, FMLA, those kind of things, there's nothing we can do about it.
I'm sure.
So
I
we've
will
tied
have
ourselves.
overtime. For additional overtime, especially if it is going to happen with 2 of my dispatchers. I've got one that's got cancer and has heart issues. So we're gonna get ready to take him on to the Mayo Clinic and see what's going on.
And the public needs to understand too, when we have to do additional appropriation for overtime, it's because we have cut their overtime and we do the budget because we have to come in compliance with the state. Either we make the cuts or the state's gonna make the cuts and the state's gonna make it to wherever they wanna make it out of that particular fund. We personally like to be able to do that ourselves so that we can preserve what is truly needed for the operation of that department. That's why we end up having to do some additional appropriations. Would you guys agree or disagree with that? And that's what we run into with the highway department. That's why, we get towards the mid to end of the year and we have to make additional appropriations. That's because one year the state cut the highway department by $800,000. So we would rather make those cuts and they let us know how much that we have to cut out of that particular fund or department. So that's why when you hear us doing additional appropriations so early in the year, that's why. So I just wanted to clarify that with everybody, so you would understand a little bit why we're doing what we're doing. Is everybody okay with that? Any other discussion on that? Okay, perfect, thank you. So that's where I'm at on that, Dana, and I think the rest of the council sounds like you're in agreement that we need to discuss that a little further. So. Okay. I did have some questions. I just needed to know clarification, Dana, I think you can help me out with that. Radio dispatch, we have 2 radio operators and 2 lead operators, is that what you have?
No, I have 5 radio operators, 2 leads,
Okay, 5 regular and 2 leads,
yes, ma'am,
and then yourself and the deputy, correct?
yes, ma'am. And I have 3 part-timers.
So you have 12 total people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
You know, we probably talked about it at that time, but we've all slept since then. So I think that's where we're at on that. Okay.
So in that 2 to 10 spot, we just use part-time right now.
well, right now it's not even covered.
Okay.
Full operators are doing it and they're getting their full. So with, my operators is 34.62 an hour.
Right.
My leads are 36.75 and my deputy director is
So
39.62
they're
an hour.
covering that.
Mhm. Yeah,
What if you didn't have the floater position, you just had a regular position?
they're gonna need more overtime. For a regular individual taking it, it'd be a whole, I'd have to do it like the full time, they'd have 76 hours. For the floater position, which is and benefits and allowed to have overtime as well with that. And then having the 76 hours that has to be worked. They could come in, it's hard to do it, it can be done, but. So we are allotted lunch, but a lot of times they don't get lunch because of what we do. So if I had that floater, they would come in from, we'll say Monday through Friday. They'd have to come in from like 10 to 2 and then come in from 7 to 10
Right,
and then work. And then the other following days, they would be working the 2 to 10 to take over the overtime. But to get the 76 hours in, I don't have enough work for that individual to do. So I don't want to pay them just to sit there and absolutely do nothing. There's only so much filing that can be done. And we get that done during the day, we get that done during the night. So much, behind the scenes jobs that we do every day. We all do that. There's not enough hours there for me to have a full-time floater to do that, to meet the 76 hours. The part-time, you're set there from 2P to 10P. I can make that happen. It's 2 days a week. 64 hours, minimum 76 or for the full.
so.
And that's with an extra 12-hour shift if they need to pick up like a vacation day or somebody pulls in sick for. But no more than that would be allotted for the part-time position.
So on this full-time position that you think you'll officially come back to? Are you gonna bring that in at budget time then? Is this in anticipation?
If I can get this part-time, I'm not gonna bring it in for a few years because this individual is going to be here and gonna be here for a while. Her kids are going to be going to school, so, her husband works, don't need benefits, kids are gonna be in school. I know it's 2 to 10, but she is willing and wanting, she's the one that has come to me for this floater's position. And she's already established, she's already been here for quite some time in the system, so she knows.
Training, okay,
She's not training, she's actually working with Dave. So,
all right, well, we'll take it in advisement and discuss it and we'll get back with you.
okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Do you guys have any other questions?
No,
Thanks.
thank you for your work yesterday.
Oh, they were great.
Yes.
Kudos to my dispatchers on. We've had so many brush fires, so many out of control brush fires, so many structure fires yesterday. Somebody did a shout out on Facebook for them. They did an amazing job juggling everything that had happened yesterday. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The sheriff, is he here? I see Mr. Hemp is here. Good morning.
So,
You pull my notes out.
let's, what you want to talk about first? You want to talk about,
Well, here's what I gathered from the meeting on October, I believe it's the 15th or the 18th of 2024, when you came in and did the budget with us.
okay,
That was a 4-hour long meeting. At the end, we voted to 2,000 per instructor, for Mr. Ken. 2,000 longevity because he's over the 25-year mark, so that will be every year until 32. 5% across the board. Is that what you gathered? Okay. Am I missing anything?
That's what I saw too. No, so 5% plus his longevity because he's over 25 years, and it's and
And it's
his
2,000 instructor.
his salary this year. I know you guys talked about 2% extra or something. It never reflected it. He's at 73,537. If it would have reflected it, it should have been 74,9 something. So as of right now, we're just short the longevity basically on him. If we're not doing the 2%, we're just doing the 5% plus longevity, then we're short 2,000. So I'm asking to put that in over his pay for the next, I don't know, he pays that what, probably 20 or 18, something like that.
So when we did the budget time and set the salary, did you think of it as being 2,000 already in, like when we did the 5%, or do you think it was 2,000 and the 5%?
I thought
So, well,
it was 2,000. And it's
And as an instructor, yeah.
That's how I read it. Yeah, the instructor comes in at center. That's a different line item. So,
Right.
and we understand that.
I would agree that the instructor fees are separate.
Yes.
I have a really hard time with extra over and above 5%. When we first talked about the matrix, it was $2,000 and no cost of living. Then it was, we'd look at cost of living every couple of years, and it was back and forth. And I don't know, 5% when some employees got $200, I'm told. I mean, that's tough. And we're in a budget crisis, so it's gonna be tough.
So
I'm worried. So that's, I mean,
I'm worried because we don't know
There's
what's
been-
gonna happen with it.
so much confusion on the shared pay and so many changes. I mean, they got a huge raise in February. I don't think we can forget that. And
Right.
it's
so-
tough
So
to give them even more. I've had a lot of calls, I guess, is what I'm gonna say.
So the argument would be that he got his instructor stuff.
I think the instructor
agree
stuff
with
is
that?
separate. I would agree, the instructor stuff, because different people had different instructor
But his
things.
longevity pay in that meeting
Mhm.
every
And
year.
that was pretty clear in the February meeting that the longevity was part of that huge raise. So what you gotta remember is when you give a raise, if someone makes 50,000 and they get 5%, that's one fee. If someone makes 75,000 and they get a 5% raise, that's a lot. That 5% is a lot more. And so longevity on top and on top and on top, that gap just gets bigger and bigger. And that's where I think we're headed.
Excuse me, can I speak for just a second? So when the longevity raises were given, I completely understand that it was capped at a percentage. Because it wasn't good business for you guys to give that kind of raise. I understand that. In, I believe, the February meeting, I believe you said there was 2% per year. It was added to me, and I think, I don't know where the 2% came up with. But I just would like to know what my salary is because I'm working year 30 right now. So I'm closer to my pension than I am my first day. So I kind of like to do the math on what my pension would look like when I decide to retire. So I just simply would like to know what my salary is.
Okay. So I think the discrepancy comes is, does the salary include the $2,000?
it does not, as of today, it does not reflect that
The
2,000.
longevity 2,000.
I spoke about this specifically, and I know Dudley and Tom at the time understood where I was coming from. I can't speak for anybody else, but when we elected to give up the longevity that was for the whole county, every employee in the county, we elected as deputies to go to the $2,000 every other year of service. However, I did specifically say that since Bob is over 25 years, he would be on the old longevity, still getting $2,000 a year. And it was said to take that money out of his pocket wouldn't be right. Because if we were still on the old longevity system where we got the stipend or whatever, he would still be getting $2,000 a year. Now, for everybody else that hasn't been here over 25 years, they're making a little more upfront first 10 years, and then the next 10 years they're losing a little bit because it equals out to $1,000 a year. On the old system, if you remember right, it started at $750 and went to $1,000, and then $1,250 and $1,500 and every year. So we gain a little on the front side, but on the back side we lose a little. So it's averaging out to where it kind of still plays out to where we're close to the old system. That's why I think that it's only right that Bob gets his longevity every year, as if all the others, such as Colleen's been here over 25 years, she gets her $2,000 every year.
So is the sheriff here? Like, I guess my question is, just like for Dana, okay, if we were to do this, where can the sheriff cut some money out of his budget to make it happen? Because I don't think we have it.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's here or what ideas.
Well, that leads us to the next thing that I have on the holiday pay. I spoke with the president of the commissioners. They're redoing the handbook. I'm going to sit down with the commissioners and review the holiday schedule for the deputies. And we are willing to give back our $21,600 a year to bank the holidays off for deputies. So I've spoke with other departments. Other departments do 2.5 times pay on the holidays if you work it, or they have a bank. I'll use Montgomery County, for instance. Whatever holiday is elected by the commissioners at the beginning of the year, all the deputies get those days off. Not the day specifically, but they have a bank. So they have 15 holidays. They bank 15 holidays per deputy. Now it's restricted on policy made by the sheriff on how that is used. Like you can't use all 15 days at one time. It's throughout the year. And our department, we don't allot the overtime to fill that schedule. So it's not going to cost you overtime money for me to have a deputy cover that shift off. We just have one deputy working instead of two, if they elect to have a day off. So, and that 21,000 would do more than enough to pay your other emergency services for their holidays work. Because they do have to fill in their schedule.
Right.
Go ahead.
So other departments, as in like Montgomery County? Or other departments?
As in 911 and EMS have to fill their schedules. They have, you have to have 2 on an ambulance and you have to have 2 dispatchers at all times. So.
Anti coverage.
Yeah. So that's where.
So I think the issue is that some of us believe that the $2,000 was included in the raise of him going from whatever he was before, which 70,035 to 73.
That was a 5% raise.
Yeah, I think some of us are of the notion that $2,000 was included in the raise, and I think some of us believe that it was in addition to. Am I misspeaking?
I listened to it, and the way I got it was the way I had the conversation was that he got the 5% and the 2,000 on top of that for his longevity.
Okay, so Ethan, once we iron this out, can we have some sort of formal agreement with the sheriff's department so everybody's on the same page? Is that something that we should do, in your opinion?
Once we figure out what, you mean once you figure out what portion of it's a raise, what's for longevity and all that?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll never regret reducing that to writing.
You what?
You'll never regret having it in writing, no. I mean, that's
I
fine.
think we're coming into a situation, even with other departments, that there's misconceptions. And we find ourselves back in this situation more times than not. And I just wanna, once we get it ironed out, I want us all to be in agreement that this is how we're gonna do it. So moving forward, we don't have all of this. And going back and having to look at meetings and minutes and things like that. We can pull the sheet and say, no, this is what we all agreed to. This is what we're doing. Do you feel like that's a good idea?
Yes, I am totally on board with being on
So
the
should
same
we
page.
do that, put together
This has
something?
been, it's kind of been confusing since the word go, and I feel like it shouldn't be this confusing.
I don't like this.
The,
I like it ironed out and I like it to be black and white, so
When we
we're all on the
originally-
same page.
we originally talked about this, it was longevity every other year, with the exception of Bob.
Yes,
Because Bob has been here over
he's
25 years.
over the 25-year mark.
Longevity every other year, and then the opposite years, we're looking at cost of living to see if we're gonna do something with that, and that's at your discretion. So that's what I thought we had agreed upon last February was, the years that we do longevity, we're not gonna look at cost of living. The opposite years, we'll look at cost of living, see if we need to do something with it.
Mhm.
And other than that, Bob was the exception that he got his longevity every year because 25 plus years.
Okay, so recapping what we agreed to.
Well, I got.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
When you looked at it, how did you read it?
I read it as we did a 5% raise plus the $2,000 instructor plus the $2,000 longevity every year from 25 to 32 because we increased the retirement
To 32.
to 32 years from 25 as an incentive for the sheriff's department so that you have a longer time period to build your pension.
Yes.
That's the way I took it. I don't know.
So if we go with that, where can we take it out of in our
Yes,
budget?
That's where the.
Before we approve that, I think we need to figure out where we can take it out
Right.
from.
Right, I agree.
What we can
And I would
cut.
like to have
Because I think
everybody
something's
here.
cut, we're not getting more money in.
Right, and I would like to have everybody here, Dudley and Jeff be here, so that we are all in agreement. So I think what we do, and no disrespect, Mr. Kemp, I know that you're wanting to know what exactly you're working for. And I want you to know that too, but I think we need to have a discussion, just like we're gonna do with 911. And we're gonna get it ironed out, and we're gonna put it in writing, so everybody's on the same page. Would you agree with that?
No, I completely understand. Like I said, when you guys gave the longevity raises, it would have been actually ludicrous to give that kind of a raise, so I understand completely. So my only question is the standard policy for county employees over 25, is it longevity also capped at 32 years or just the sheriff's?
I
department?
believe it's just the sheriff's department, isn't it? Yeah,
I don't think we're capping the longevity, it's your pension that's capped.
Yeah, we took,
I think you guys said that the longevity is capped at 32 years. $2,000 a year, 32.
I don't know
So I
that
believe what was said
anybody
6 minutes
thought,
ago.
I sure didn't think of it that way, it's your pension that's capped at 32.
Right, I
which-
understand.
yes,
That would be my only concern
It's
that
not at 32.
removing me from the classification of a county employee because I work for the sheriff's department, where my longevity would be capped at 32 years compared to a guy that's driving a dump truck for the county highway that's been here for 33 and he still gets the longevity. That'd be my only something for somebody to look into.
so that's another thing we can
Put in-
add to the
No, I
list and talk
completely
about.
understand.
We just wanna make it fair, we wanna put it in writing, so we're all in agreement, and that way, when there will be no question about what we decided. We can pull the sheet and say, this is what we decided, we were all in agreement, we signed off on it. And I think moving forward, I think we're gonna have to start doing this or it's gonna be crazy.
I
in my
appreciate
opinion.
you guys' time, thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming.
If,
All right, so,
if you would like to do this in an executive meeting. It's
don't think we
collective-
can.
It's collective bargaining,
yeah, that's,
it's under the collective bargaining. Which would be wages and benefits, and as it's gonna be a meeting,
yeah.
just to iron it out. I
Yeah.
mean, because I went through 5 different council meetings on YouTube to try to figure out what happened with the whole budget. 'Cause I didn't know where it was cut and what happened actually there until I came to January or February meeting where I was talking about Bob's pay and then realized why it actually happened.
Mhm. Yeah. It took me going through several meetings to get to October 15th or 18th, whatever the date was. And budget hearing meetings aren't long, so.
I don't, I still don't, help me out on where you get the 21.6 at.
Yeah, we need,
Holiday pay for, holiday pay for deputies
Yeah,
is $7,200. Year. That's just with the 9 holidays right now.
okay.
And then holiday pay for the jail staff is $14,400. That's on the 9 holidays
Per year.
per year.
Okay.
That's on the current budget.
So that's what you're getting.
Yeah, that's on the
you're
current
adding
budget.
those two together and saying you want to use that money to bank it.
Now, we can get rid of that money out of our budget
Right,
and you can use that for 911 and EMS to recognize the 15 holidays that they need to be reimbursed the 150 or whatever for. Or put it in the general fund. I don't know.
but then how are you gonna pay your holidays that
That's what I,
people are banking?
That's in exchange for the,
You're not, it's just a day off.
Unpaid day off.
Unpaid day
No,
off?
it'd be a paid day off. You,
So where's all the
you mark
money
it as-
coming to pay
but
those?
it's not 2.5 times
no, it's a day off. So
at normal pay.
on our sheet, you would mark that as a holiday,
I see.
like if. I don't know.
It just gives them an extra day
Guy,
off.
yeah, guy wants to take Friday off. Okay, well, I got these holidays paid, so I'm gonna take that as a holiday.
Instead of paying 2.5 times salary on
Paying
a working holidays. So,
You know, so you're not paying holidays anymore for their office, basically.
So you just work short is what you're saying?
Mhm. Instead of having 2 deputies, they just have 1. They just both can't take off at the same time.
at the sheriff's discretion.
With the discrepancy over money, I did speak with the department. Yeah, the deputies, and we had come up with this conclusion that we're worried about money on this side of things.
Mhm.
So another, I don't know, it's gonna be $22,000 to make this happen for all emergency services. Well, I think our 21,000 would more than cover
Mhm.
EMS and dispatch because they have to have coverage. And then our guys still get the day back at some point,
You're just working short. Hmm.
yeah, which during the week, you know, the sheriff and I are around and the detective can take calls too sometimes and we make it work. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll get it figured out. Okay. Well, it looks like we already discussed holiday things. Any other department heads back there?
That's the last, right?
Mhm.
Just a few things, February collections you saw was we had another good month on collections. Our numbers were around 200. I read in the minutes, just to give you an update, we were able to reach out, Medicaid representative reached back out to us. Been working with CAT. I think we're gonna be able to get that all squared away to where we do it differently, which will streamline it, and we should get reimbursement a lot quicker than what we were. I think we've got that figured out, so that's a good sign on that side.
And they have a set rate too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. We've been watching, so the Indiana EMS Association went to the state and worked on getting the fees at a higher rate. We've been looking at that and seeing if that's in effect. Right now, I'm not sure we're seeing that, so been working with the association and that to find out when that was supposed to all take place. It's supposed to have taken place last year. So we're working on that and trying to look at that. Yeah, it's a set fee. Which leads us into some of you may know or may not know. Back 13, 14, there was a law put out, it's called Government Ambulance Payment Adjustment Fee. Basically what this is we get a portion from Medicaid, but then there's an additional amount we get from the federal side. And we've been working with a law firm out of Indy called Myers and Stalker. I send information to them, like all our costs, our runs, hours and all that. They put it into a formula and they come up with a percentage, and we get money back from Medicare or Medicaid, excuse me, through this adjustment. We have got money ever since 2013. It's ranged between upwards of 40,000, put it down to about 13,000. So I just received for year 2022, we'll get $20,636 and some change. So like I said, I give them all the information and they plug it in and we get that reimbursement back.
And that's through federal Medicaid.
Yep. The traditional Medicaid, that's the federal share of it, what they call it. So I just got the letter about 10 days ago on email, and then I'll get a final notification and then we'll receive a check for that. So,
Every little bit helps.
yeah. And last thing is, and you guys already talked about it, would like to send a huge kudos to dispatch for yesterday. Yesterday was a really busy day. They did a fantastic job with what they had. The two individuals in there did a fantastic job getting the fire departments out, landing helicopters, all of that. So kudos to them. You guys already talked about it, but that was on my thing to talk about. They did a great job.
It's so too.
And that's a thankless job.
Yeah. For sure.
Other than that, I've not heard any news yet on the new truck. Hopefully I'll know something this week. So
A lot of damage in the going down.
there's extensive damage. Yes. I think it's gonna be salvageable, but
It takes you.
takes some more. Yeah. It was pretty good save, to be honest. I think a few more minutes, we were hour or so more, probably been. Yeah. We got in there quick enough and got to it quick enough and got on quick enough. I think we had, if the passerby had not drove by and saw it, I think we would have been in a different circumstance. We had 9 departments, 61 personnel there.
Yeah.
We had 3 departments from Dane County. Danville Fire was there with the aerial. 6 from Fountain, Warren County.
Thank you.
Fountain County yesterday.
So that Fountain and Warren County both. Warren County they started the morning off with a structured fire and then it just compounded from there. So
Well, thank you for what you do.
thank you. Anything else you guys know?
Okay.
Thank you, Garland. Is, Andrew still here?
Don't think so.
Okay. Do we know, does anybody know where we're at on the other
What,
grinder?
you said they were out there working.
They're working.
We gotta build the structure first.
Well, they've done the trenching and the laying lines and as far as the structure being built up.
I think they're still laying the tile right now, but they got started from my property and I think the road were about where the facility is going to be built, what it look like.
Brad, do you have anything for us?
Yeah.
Kim? Let's move on to, transfers. NVH. For office supplies at $377.41. Other supplies to buy 2 minutes, $2,384.40. And QCAP development, maintenance and repair of $233.84 to the elevator chairlift. That's the one downstairs, isn't it? Any questions on the transfers?
I'll make a motion to move the transfers as proposed.
Second.
Motion was made by Denise, seconded by Todd. All of those in favor? 5-0. Construction of the Commissioner's Room and Auditor's Office. The Slider Tree Service is the one that got the bid for it. They would like to have 50% down, so that would be $10,900 for that, with a total cost of $21,800. There's also a Ricketts Electric won the bid for all the electrical work, $8,000. So the total is $29,800. Found that we can take that out of council budget on building repairs. Yeah, we have not spent anything out of there. We have 150,000 in there, so. Any additional equipment that would be needed for the microphones and things like that, we can take out of the commissioner's budget. And they have, it's like 25,000 in their budget for equipment. I don't believe anything's been taken out of that either. And that should wrap up all of this in the auditor and Ken's little office. So, can I get a motion to approve unless you have questions or concerns? Anybody?
Are they ready to start?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
We just got to move all that stuff in.
They were planning on taking about 3 days.
Yeah.
So you'll be where now again?
Between the treasurer and the auditor in there.
Should have a little more of the problem.
I talked to Slider last night. He said he could proceed. Just anytime.
We just gotta make sure Carol has her surgery.
This is ridiculous, I think. Look at the group here today. And I've been coming to these meetings for 15 years and a lot of times I don't know. The only time these people are showing up now is because it's sober. And once we get that under control, they're not gonna be, it's gonna be back to me to show that.
You never know.
One more thing. I just want to make it clear that this money being given back on the holidays won't start until next budget.
So like August.
So,
We'll be
well,
starting.
in January.
January.
So
So
for
that's
this year, we're just going with what we got and we figure this out in the meantime.
agreed.
And the administrators are working on a new handbook.
Yeah, I think it should all go together.
That's why I want to sit down with the commissioners and figure this out.
While you're standing here, before we talk any more about this room. Do you know, and I've asked Kim and Colleen this question, do you know if we've gotten any payment from the DOC this year?
We have not, they're behind. They're
'Cause
out of
I
money.
heard-
They're out of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it on the news or whatever, but, yes, Indiana Department of Corrections is out of money. And we will not receive any payments till August. And when that occurs, they're supposed to back pay, which means they're gonna be out of money again before next year. And we're gonna be right back in the same boat. So we still get our yearly June or July payment of the misdemeanor and DOC holding money, which is like 27,000. But they are behind as far as their monthly payments. Which it's nothing new. We've fought this for a long time. DOC was usually 3 months behind on payments at any given time. But now I heard from, I caught an email from Tippecanoe County Sheriff saying he hasn't been paid since August last year.
Yes,
So
that's why I asked, because I heard the same thing. So I just,
Is that for people they're sending you?
that's those people that we're holding on
To go.
the level sixes or whatever, or to go. That's another issue because they're not scheduling in a timely fashion for us to take them to DOC either.
right,
So anyway, we get 4 or 5 inmates that need to go to DOC. We have Paxton on the phone with them religiously saying, hey, we need him out here. We need him out here. Costing the county money. You guys aren't paying. So I also have told Josh to stop parole holds for time being until they can get caught up on the bills. That also will then dip into our taxpayers' money, and we don't need to be paying for it.
So are we getting better results from the counties that you're holding?
Oh, yeah,
They're paying good.
yes, we've never had an issue out of it.
Any of the counties?
Matter of fact, Sullivan County, maybe Vigo, Nancy just got with them and we're all on the same spreadsheet now, sharing. So they already know how much they owe when it comes time, and we don't really have to invoice them. And it's working out pretty well with them, but our state. I got you.
Carol,
How much are you talking about? How much money are you talking about?
I don't know. I'd have to get with Nancy. She's in charge of our books.
Will they get interest on this money? Will they just?
No,
I think we'll be lucky to get a check, to be honest with you, so.
You gonna ask them about the grinder?
where are we at on the grinder?
They're busy. It looks like the bomb went off out there, actually.
okay,
It's, I just talked to Matt this morning, the Matt Collin, which owns the construction company. They're having to move the water line this morning, didn't know it was there, they found it. Last week, they ran into a fiber optic, wasn't located, even though the locates were done. So, no, they're busy. They're making progress, but they were getting ready to dig into the driveway today, but since the water line issue came about, they're gonna wait on that till tomorrow. So they
We're
should.
gonna have a good week this week in weather.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get a lot done.
I do too.
We've been having to park around front and try to,
Jockey.
because they cut the driveway last week and had a big hole there, so we couldn't really get in and out. It was, but hey,
Good times.
yeah.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Real quick, also, I got, since we're on department heads here, and we'll backtrack here in just a second. They were awarded, he wanted me to let everybody know that they were awarded the community crossings. And they were awarded $1,373,450.62.
Did you repeat that amount?
$1,373,450.62. Our match is $457,816.88. said they were going to approve bids at the next commissioners meeting. And that USI would like to attend the next joint meeting to discuss the bridges. And present a bridge improvement plan. He is at a meeting that Aaron wanted him to attend in regards, a meeting with NDOT in regards to another bridge project. Jim, get ready, 341.
Oh, yeah.
South of Newtown elevator, so.
Of course.
South.
So we did the north,
Yeah.
and now we're gonna do the south.
So they're doing my road down there.
Yeah.
I don't mean my road.
Your area.
Green Bay, Green Bay.
Green Bay. Okay, so we'll move on to the construction part of this. So let's have a discussion about it. Carol doesn't think it's warranted right now.
Well, I guess I agree that we've had all these people because of solar, you know, and that hopefully will get fixed to where that will die down, but I feel like there's, with social media, the word does get out about things, maybe a little more complaints, so once that issue's done, who knows what issue is gonna be in the future? I think at least, you know, like when the department heads talk in the corner there, if you're watching the recording, you can't, it's mumbled, you know, what they're
Right.
saying over there. So having a better setup is really needed.
And I think I think that was the idea when Aaron and I talked about this, is that obviously the sound system in this room is terrible.
Horrible.
If you've watched any of the meetings on YouTube, the volume can't go high enough,
Mhm.
in my opinion. And I think it was just a situation that we needed to make better for everybody.
Mhm.
And yes, you're right, Carol, a lot of people come in here now is because of the solar issue, but you know, the next thing probably coming down the pike might be carbon sequestration. It might be, you know, something else. So I think we're just trying to make it better now. With that being said, I did receive a phone call this morning. Some of the other departments in the courthouse is a little upset that we would like to do this room because they have issues in their offices that they would like to get corrected, whatever they are. I personally would like for each department to present a list of 5 things that they would like to have fixed in their office. And rate them what is most important to least important. And I would like to sit down with Aaron and I and that department head and go through that list and determine what are some things that we could possibly or potentially fix in those departments. It's not gonna happen right away, but without knowing, and I know that Architectura came into the building and talked to everybody, but has any of you seen that list? Has anybody seen a list of what they determined that each office needed to have work on?
Now, I think we just saw the bottom line, which was so massive and not feasible, so it.
And we had
yeah.
the schematic.
But
That was it.
I like that idea of, you know, making them decide priorities, you know, we can't have it all. I mean, we just
Right.
can't.
I think we're
So,
all willing to
everybody-
work with them.
correct.
We want to hear their concerns. You know, they're part of this county like everybody else.
Mhm.
And I think they feel left out. Carol?
Has anything ever been done about the settling in the crack in the treasurer's office? Have you heard any more on that?
Nothing. Ken?
I just wanted to know, like, because we can do this room and expand it, because more people, there's gonna be another issue after another issue.
Right.
After another issue, and with everything going on, as far as like social media, and some people just like the rise, and so they're always gonna be seeking after that, so you're always gonna. But the transparency part and people being able to show up and have a voice and be heard is the most important part. So opening this room and having that ability to, for people to come in, to be a part of it and to include them is really important, but also, like, have you done anything like a conceptual plan, like you're saying, 5 things? Can you do a conceptual plan for the courthouse and do it in in phases as far as what funding you have and go piece by piece by piece to get it all done.
What I explained to the person on the phone this morning is that we can't do a massive undertaking and shut this courthouse down.
Right.
This county does not have the funds to do that with, and I personally don't want to push that onto the taxpayers any more than anyone else does. And that's not knowing what the state's gonna do in regards to the property tax. I mean, they kind of tweaked it now, and I have been reading some things and listening to some commentary on it. I think they're coming to a better solution than what they had. I don't think it's quite there yet, but without knowing what they're gonna do, we cannot take that. I would love to, if money was no object, you know, we had all the money in the world, I would say shut it down, let's get it all fixed at one time. But that's not feasible, so we do baby steps and we do the best we can.
And in 5 years, you have a new courthouse.
Right, I mean, you know, if it takes 10 years, I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's better than what we had, so. I don't know how you
I've watched
all feel,
Vermillion County's council commissioners meetings, and the nice thing about that is the way they're set up is they have microphones, and they have a very good video camera, and it's really set up well. And if we could do something like that, just to get our voice, you know, lowered out there better with microphones, I think that'd be best too.
I do too.
And we have, you know, like you said, you can use commissioners.
And so,
dollars there.
right, and so you're aware, we actually do have microphones here. Now, we need to determine if they work, but we do have them. We do have a podium that has a microphone system
Yeah.
on it.
Just a
That's
little-
gonna be brought up here,
It just looks better.
you know, and then when you come to speak, you're gonna walk up, just like we did in the courtroom. And I think it's just gonna be a better setup. Tammy,
If you've complained or people have complained, these meetings are not well attended until solar and there was standing room only. And you have them in the courtroom and the microphone system stinks. You can't hear what you're watching it on YouTube. And then you'll have people out here that are having a conversation while there's a conversation here, and then you'll have a group of you guys having a conversation while everybody else is talking, and all that just jumbles in, and the person sitting at home can't hear. And then if you do show up, like I said, during solar, you can't get in, so I've been, you know, some people, I've been here twice, I can't get in, I can't see, I can't hear, why am I wasting my time? So while you're hollering for people to be involved, you're discouraging them from being involved. If you do get in and you end up over there, you still can't hear. And if there's a chart, a graph, a visual, you can't see. So you either need to move the location, you need to make the location bigger, and you need better equipment, or you're going to continue to have people not be engaged because they can't engage.
Right.
You can't tell people to be involved and then make it too difficult for them to do so. And then complain because nobody cares. People care. But when you have to jump through hurdles and 6 feet high in the air and do a twirl while you're up there, it becomes too hard.
yeah, and I want everyone to feel welcomed. You know, I want you to be able to come here and feel like your opinion matters.
And when I miss a meeting, I try to watch it on YouTube. But a lot of the stuff that happens on YouTube, I can't figure it out because I cannot hear. And I've even put an external speaker on it and made it as loud as it'll go. And my hearing is fine, I'm not hard of hearing. So this situation needs improvement.
Yes, and that's on the list. Mrs. Brenner.
And adding to what Tammy said in the APC meeting, I was at the courthouse room. You all need to speak into the microphone, you know, if somebody's talking, the microphone's way out here.
Right, it's gotta be right,
Absolutely.
you know, no more than 8 to 10 inches.
The microphones were there, but it's just everybody was not Just stay away from them.
Right. Okay,
And for me,
yes,
solar was dropped,
right,
solar woke me up, so. Because what I found out at the first meeting we had in Weedon was that Fountain County zone after the health issue.
mhm,
And the whole issue with that was is you can't buy out 15,000 people. You can buy out 3 people or 2 people. So now we have zoning and here we are with solar. And whatever else sneaks in between time.
mhm.
And it will be another issue if the zoning continues to push the way it's going. Why do we need a 60-foot easement for utilities? That's 120 feet. We can run a gas line right down that and you can't say a word about it. That's
Okay,
what brought me.
well, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're all here. Dana,
And I'm not making that on what you shared, you know, like someone woke me up and said, hey, we've got an issue. But when I attended the last ABC meeting, oh, we have so many more issues than just solar now. And things that we've been working on, the directions of some of those things, they need cover. We need to revisit them and figure out where do we put them, where do we pigeonhole it under so that we don't burden the whole county.
right,
And so I do think there's a bigger issue, and I think as we utilize social media, if we get better mics so people can really hear what's going on in meetings, I think we can get more people here because they're gonna realize, oh, if I don't stand up, that's gonna seriously impact me.
mhm.
And so I need to go put my opinion in so that my voice can be heard.
Good point. Let's move forward with, get some room here.
I'll make a motion to put on the table and approve Sliders bid for 21,800 and Ricketts Electric bid for 8,000.
And just so everybody knows, only 2 people for each category bid on the project. So they were the lowest bids, and that's the ones we went with. Can I get a second?
I second.
I second that. All of those in favor of Slider Tree Service and Ricketts Electric doing the construction on the Commissioner Council room? I vote. Okay. Wabash River Greenway Project. Okay, so did everybody get the lease agreement in an email from Todd?
Yes.
Has everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
I need some more papers up. I had some questions about that, and I don't. There. What did I do? Oh my gosh, I can't follow it. In there, it said that any improvements made on the property.
You need my copy of it?
Perfect, thank you. In there, it said that any improvements made to the property, the improvements stay with the property.
Will become the ownership of the
Ownership of
Myers
the
family,
Myers
yeah.
Trust. And I'm assuming this failure to develop the property was the original $90,000 grant, don't you think?
Sounds like it.
And the subletting. It said it couldn't be subletted without permission of the Myers Trust
And the date on that was 1993.
Yes. I guess my question is do we even have a Fountain County Park Board?
Well, I was gonna bring that up, that we should form one if we don't have one, just for this very reason.
The commissioners can act as a park board, and they have in the past.
And I got a little confession. I remember talking about this years ago, about the lease, and I think, and I don't recall the context, but I think at that time we went to Myers' asked if they would sell it. And we were denied, if I remember correctly. Now, this is a long, long time ago, and a long, long time ago memory.
It's been leased for public use as a Five Crossings Park.
Right.
And it goes back. Dell made his first presentation in September of 2021. The commissioners agreed to move forward in September of 21.
Get a resolution.
The commissioner's letter to Ready Rep regarding commission support of $450,000 was in August of 22. November of 24, the commissioners reaffirmed their previous unanimous vote to support Five Crossings Park, Wabash River Greenway with $450,000. September of 21, Jim and Del Clausen made the motion and a 7-0 vote to commit and submit papers to pursue the grant. October of 21, a 5-2 vote in favor of the $450,000. August of 22, Dale shows up for the status. Council took no action. April 23, council votes 7-0 to support the commitment of $450,000. And as of November, all the permits have been approved, bids received. Dell still requests 450. Then what? In January, we decided we'll go with 225. So Western Indiana Community Foundation has already invested $128,000. I'm sorry, 128 was just for the wetland mitigation credit. And then they had another 68,800 for the design and the engineering of that project. So as of April 23rd, they've spent $196,000. And because of this dragging their feet, we lost about 11,000 in investment earnings in 23 and another 9,000 we lost in 24. So we keep dragging our feet. You know, it's just going to cost more money.
Okay, Kim talked to SBOA and they sent an email back to Kim. And she stated, Stacy Burns from SBOA says during audits, we would be looking for the county's business purpose of this expenditure and they would need to be documented. This would also be something that legal counsel would be able to comply. But it said the foregoing should not be construed as a legal opinion, but rather a position we may take during an audit of her unit. Please consult with an attorney on all legal matters. Now, just so everybody knows, because there's been called into question that we need to be audited. We get audited every year by the state of Indiana. We also get audited every year by the federal government because we receive federal funds like ARPA money. So the notion that we need to be audited, we actually get audited every year. And as the vice president and now the president, I get those audits from the state and they tell us what we've done great, what we need to work on, and we follow through with whatever their suggestion is for us. So that cleared that up. So my point is, I do not want to do anything that could be construed by the State Board of Accounts that we misappropriated funds. My position is, I want to make sure that we get the grant money. I don't want to lose these communities to lose out on that grant money. But I want to know what our legal position is. It's not property that we own, it's property that we lease. Where do we stand on giving money to that project? And we didn't know all this before. We were always told we owned that park, and we never doubted anybody, because this is a 99-year lease that has gone astray, so to speak, because we didn't have a working park board. And yes, the commissioners can act as the park board, but we were always told by the commissioners that we owned that property. I don't know, Dale may have thought he owned it too when he came to us initially, I don't know.
I don't think he did from what I went back. I think Dale knew it was the Myers Trust, but maybe thought it was written a little different, so. My only concern, I know the legal opinion was we get either deeded to us with fee simple interest, which Jim's memory, they didn't want to do that in the past. I don't know if they would now, but a simple easement that's recorded to where the county or city of Covington, somebody has legal rights to it, then it makes sense, but someone's gonna have to check with them, commissioners, or because it would be their duty to sign an easement or do that part to make sure we're covered on
With the SBOA.
with funds, yes, so we don't get dinged for giving money to private property.
Right.
But it's a county park. It's not private property. It's leased as a county park.
But it goes back to the ownership. And I mean, it clearly states at the end that they own it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm leasing a house that's owned by you and someone comes in and does something, well, I lease it, you don't care about it. Well, yeah, you do because you own it. And it goes back to you when I move out. So that's why gotta have the owners.
Do we have access to site plans for it to see where the actual trail's gonna be going? I mean, that would be very
I think
instructive.
the foundation would be willing to give any of that stuff.
Okay,
It's already laid out, staked out already and cleared out, so.
I mean, that would be the next step. I mean, the most important thing is when this expires in 2092, that'll put all of us in the ground, right? So we don't care, but
Most likely.
the short-term problem is that state board of accounts come in saying, hey, wait a minute, why did you guys do that? I don't think they would, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I wouldn't mess with it unless if they would either give us an easement, just deed it to us outright, or we would exercise our eminent domain power and take it from them. We can do that. I used to do that in Boone County.
Yeah.
So you don't
For
think,
bike trails.
so you don't think being considered a county park until.
For 99 years, but I mean, yeah, that's what I think, yeah.
Temporary.
Is that, I don't think we're gonna make a trail that's gonna last that long anyways, but like I said, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I mean, Dell already has all the permits. I mean, I don't know what more we have to do. It's, we're either gonna support the project or we're not.
There's a part of it the county owns anyways, and if the trail goes through there, this is moot, it's
Sure.
done. But there is a little sliver in there that they already gave to the county. And I don't know what for, but if that's where we're putting our trail through, who cares?
Yeah, I guess we need to determine what section, are they gonna go over the top of the existing now?
Yes, part of it will be.
Why does, Dudley want to get it out of general fund instead of, civic?
Doesn't see it as, I think it's dropping. Where it's. What
Well, I mean, it's preliminary.
is it? Well, that's economic development. Money. Is this deemed economic development?
Yeah.
That's
Correct. But that's what how it was presented to us.
right.
So I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Petersburg, we just got a carport, when Gail was doing this, he had come to us and they did a study also for Mountain County Parks as well, so that's on their website. But, we just got a carport and one of the issues was that a carport has authority to sell that property. Is that right? Even like, if a park board, once a park board, they could vote to sell, that they were hesitant to do a park board because it would give them authority if they were to decide as a board that they want to sell that property, they could. So there has to be some things that is to the ordinance as a park board because so that would become an issue. I'm just sharing information that I learned.
But they wouldn't have the right to sell this property if we don't own it to begin with.
Well,
That's the
I would
problem.
just cover
Yeah.
that and clarify and make sure, because then if it belongs to someone else, who does it belong to? Who's in charge of, is there a board or a trustees? Is there someone else making calls and decisions on them? And if so, who are those people? Because then they could decide, we want to sell this, and you've invested that money to a private, I don't know how it all works. I know there's a lot more piece and details in there, but they're just putting pieces together as I was learning about our.
Ethan, if they were in agreement to give us an easement for the remaining part that we don't currently have a trail on, would you advise that just to cover our bases?
Well, my favorite thing to do is just have them give the easement to Covington and let Covington deal with it. It's their baby anyways.
And then at least it's another municipality and
Yeah.
we wouldn't get dinged. I mean, that's,
Right.
I would be very comfortable with that. I agree, but
The funds would.
we need to have a conversation with the Myers Family Trust.
If you look
I don't
at
know
the
if
rest
the
of
foundation
trail,
needs to do
look at
that
it.
work or who. I mean, somebody needs to work with the Myers Family Trust to see what the options are.
Do you know if Dale has talked to the Myers Family Trust?
Absolutely, several times.
Okay,
Are they willing to work with us?
do you think?
On a lease agreement or
An easement.
an
An
easement.
easement or just give
Yes.
a portion over? Okay.
As long as it's for public use, that was the key for public use, which states in the agreement, so
But they're still not willing to deed it.
I don't think so. Just because it's,
But an easement's just as good.
Correct.
I mean, because that stays with the land.
Right,
So
that would cover our basis
yeah.
with SDOA.
like the rest of what you trying to say about the rest of the trail, everything else has an easement to it,
Covington just owns it outright.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So if Covington owns the rest of the trail or it has an easement for the rest of the trail, then I think
That would have
easement
to-
needs made to the
one
city of
person has
Covington,
control
then we
over
can
it.
move forward on this and get it done. Yeah,
And
I would agree with that.
the mayor's already agreed to take care of it as he does the rest of the trail, so
Right,
it would just be a continuation of, the other 3/4 of this,
literally would be a full circle all the way
Correct.
on two different levels.
which would be the circle trail,
That's right.
so.
So I guess that comes down to, we have to,
I'm not so sure that Dell hasn't already got approval for an easement. I need to check with him on that. I didn't think about that the other day when I talked to him. I can find out.
if Covington is in agreement to do that, then we have to terminate this current lease, correct?
no, I don't think so. No, the lease is still okay.
Yeah. I would maybe have the commissioners do a resolution or something saying, hey, we're okay with them. We have this lease with them and we're okay with them giving an easement as
Mhm.
to Covington. Just to belt suspender, but no,
I mean, the commissions have approved this more than once. so,
Right.
They gave the go ahead several times. Just in the notes I found, so. This,
You watch those meetings, didn't you?
well,
So
So can someone reach out to the foundation to see if they can get this easement done? So we know it's recorded, so we can appropriate, or I guess we've already ran it through, but we can make move on whether or not we're gonna,
Right.
So can this all be tied up, so we're gonna have a public hearing in our next meeting? Excuse me, our next meeting, don't we have to have a public hearing?
Yeah, because it's gonna be additional appropriation.
Yeah.
we've already advertised, right? So.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's already been advertised, so we don't have to have re-advertise.
we need to have that.
So yes, we
public
can
hearing.
put the public hearing in the meeting, the next
Mhm.
meeting. So let's recap. We're going to, talk with Dale
About the easement,
about the easement,
which I'm pretty sure we already have one in place, but I need to
double check on that.
correct.
So you're gonna do that, Todd, you're gonna reach
Yes.
out to them to do.
Who's gonna touch base with, kind of.
Something too.
I can talk to Brad.
Have you been working with people already on this or?
Yeah, Dell came to us when I was on city council and we approved
Okay,
way back about the same time frame, 2021 probably, so.
But you'll just ask him if he'll take over the lease.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I don't think.
I mean,
the easement.
Not the easement.
Yes,
Yeah, he's gonna, yeah.
the easement would be to the city of Covington, just like all the other trail is.
Mhm.
Because he already left, didn't he?
Yeah,
How will they want their money? Do they want a check written out with it?
Or was it bills? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think it's reimbursable bills.
Okay, that's what Dale said.
Mhm.
Okay, that's, I'm not gonna write a check out, the rainbow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
you understand where I'm going?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
It's just like a ready grant, you turn in the receipts and.
Right.
Right.
Which is already money been spent,
Right.
a big investment and lots of time and energy invested, so. I know.
we're paying a third, right? So reimbursable bills up to a third.
Well, we agreed on
2.5.
450.
Reimbursable bills up to 225
Yes,
at a third of the cost.
correct. Which originally we said 450, but after discussing,
What it would cost.
we could,
Mhm.
that would help them tremendously with 225.
And that'll secure our other grants as well.
Correct.
I do know that Aaron and, they were gonna look into talking to some person, I can't remember.
Yes.
And get back.
Nancy Wagner.
Yeah.
I think that KW, he got a hold of me and said that he had talked to Nancy Wagner, but I don't remember exactly what he said.
They were also going to reach out to Ready Grant. people.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
and Dudley also talked to Nancy, so
Yeah.
she was original park board member.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds
Let
like-
us know what you find out, Todd.
Sounds like you've got a plan. Has everybody had a chance, I want to throw this in here real quick, it's not on the agenda, but just a real quick conversation about the WEGA contract. Have you guys all had a chance to look at that?
And we can get a chance, I'd like to talk about the old contract too.
Yes. Please do. Thank you.
Pretty soon.
I like the fact of, we want to terminate, it's a 6-month notification. And I think it's the same way for them as well. Have you got a copy of this?
I have a copy. I haven't looked at it with any amount of detail.
Pretty simple.
They would have the school board or school superintendent be a non-voting member too.
And they realize the fact that there's always going to be a scope of change, so we won't get deemed if there's a change in that, anything that they're working on. Anything new that would arise.
And what's the relationship with we and Advocate?
As far as.
They, only thing they did was dismiss, Rod and, they had a board. I mean, the two people were on the board up there, Wegas, same as it was. Okay, so Wegas still gonna assist Advocate in the project. Yes, and, they want to, assist Attica with the WIGA building. They want to go forward, have a plan to go forward and take care of the WIGA building too.
Okay, so there, I do have one issue. WIGA is currently listed with one person's name. And that person is no longer with them. So moving forward, they're gonna, I don't want to, I think it needs to change. They need to change their ownership or however it's listed.
Didn't we have this discussion with the commissioners?
Yes.
They agreed to change that.
Yes.
Were you here for that, Kim?
I would,
That's what was stated, is they were going, they knew that and they were going to work on getting that corrected.
So I don't want anybody signing a contract. Of course, I cannot tell any of these people what to do. But I personally would like them not to sign a contract till we know that that has been changed.
so I have a question.
Yes, Kim.
Is there anything with the ready grants and WIGA going for those ready grants? Is there anything that's a conflict there for changing the name and ownership?
Well, they're not changing the name, or really the ownership. I mean, I think they're going to get, WIGA as a group, as a board put on instead of one person.
It's not an office, so there's no owner, but when you form a business with the Secretary of State, you gotta put a name there. I'm the guy in charge and they just want to change it.
Well, when they filed this, they didn't say they were a group, they said they were a single member LLC or a single
Okay.
member. That's the issue, that they filed it under the wrong legal entity. You know,
Through the Secretary of State.
through the Secretary of State.
Somebody
correct.
just needs to go there and fix it.
They need to do a correction.
And they're on that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think if we asked Jason or Bill or Sharon to let us know when that's done, and then we'll move forward with the contract. I'm sure they would probably do that.
Sounds good.
but, and they did lower the rate.
Yeah, it's lower than it was.
So, but I think it's all positive.
I do too. I think that, them coming to us and being transparent about everything and having open conversations and, to me, that goes a long way. So
And they
we're
have,
moving in the right direction.
and they have super intelligent people on that board. From the business community, and I think they're working on a super person on administrating, so I think it'd be a heck of a lot different what we're gonna do.
Yes, I think so too.
And to Jim's question, they're committed to Attica, they gotta push that and get it finished. But they also still have to get their money, ready money. And that involves some private matches and things like that coming down the pipe, so.
And just for clarification, the county did not give any land to WIGA. The city of Attica did,
Yes.
but the county did not. So there's a clarification there. Jim?
So when the county canceled the contract with WIGA in December, did that cancel the addendum 1 part of the contract?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so the section 2.4 is not applicable anymore.
Which is the reimbursement.
Yes,
I don't think it should have ever been in
I
there.
don't think it
but-
should. I just probably caused some heartburn in Attica and you and I visited with Dudley. Our issue wasn't money for WIGA, it was money for the city of Attica.
Mhm.
And we was just handling that for them and was Attica's entity at that time for economic development. Am I saying that correctly?
I believe so, yes.
So I think we can tell the leadership in Attica that this 2.4 is not applicable.
And they would agree too that it wouldn't be for them either if they were entered into an agreement that they have the same addendum with the same number 2.4, they realize that they're not gonna get anything out of it either.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, yeah,
it's a moot.
yeah, I guess I didn't think it would take this long to spend $500,000.
Okay.
Or more. So I don't know, that's what my frustration is.
I think it's just one person.
I know I don't want to discuss that, but
Yeah.
hopefully they're getting this thing straightened out.
Yes, I think they're moving in the right direction now. And I think from what I was told, because I asked the same question, I said, why haven't they spent this money? And I was told that they had to stop spending money because if they spent money, they couldn't get some grant. I thought that
And
was
that's
the
true.
craziest thing
That's
I've
the way-
ever heard of.
Yeah, but that's the way a lot of those grants work. And when you're dealing with government grants and grants, you can't spend money until they've approved it.
And I'll tell you another thing, they've gotten grant money, but they leveraged that elementary school for that grant money. And I asked if that was even possible to do something like that. That building is still owned by the school corporation.
Correct.
And I was told that, yes, they could do that. That is so bizarre to me. To be able to leverage a project you have no control over that is owned by somebody else.
Yeah,
And there's somebody interested in that building that's willing to pay cash right now. And they have not spoken to this person, this group. So,
so just Larry understand 2.4 is not applicable anymore.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll let him know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was always curious as to whether that was dissolved or terminated correctly anyway, because they didn't give written notice like they were supposed to. They voted on it here, but I don't know that written notice was ever given. I could be wrong. Because in that contract, it says they have to have written notice. Because Larry asked me that question. Do we have a contract with them? And I said, well, that's a really good question. I don't know. But I would say no today, since we've got something new. So, any other discussion from anyone? Mr. Schrock,
Two questions.
okay?
Quite a while ago, it was at one of the meetings and the lady from Pause and Calls was here
Mhm.
and asking for an increase.
Mhm.
And if, I don't know what happened with that.
We did not fund that.
Did not. Okay, so she's no longer under contract.
We funded it, we did not fund an increase, right?
We continue to fund
Pause and clause.
I don't know.
There's,
Did we do that?
around 130,000. Is that right?
Oh, not from us. I think in total, she gets that from several places. She gets money from Attica, she gets money from the county, she gets private donation, she gets grant funding. But she doesn't cover the entire county.
And so how much does she get from us? I thought she that there was discussion about we were behind even the amount that we had agreed to previously, but we were behind on that amount.
It was $9,000 that we owed them. We paid that. And then,
That's the amount that
we owed them from the previous year.
Okay, but what is the total amount?
42
42 per.
give or take, 42.
Okay.
But I don't know, did we fund that? Didn't we? I don't.
42,000, it's under seated. Yeah. 33,132, contract calls and clause, 42,000 is in the approved
I
budget.
think
That's
we
what I have
were
right here.
reluctant to do that.
We didn't do any
because-
more.
No,
We
we
didn't do
didn't.
that extra.
I think she wanted more and we said, no, we're not doing any more than this. And I think Attica gives the same amount right around there. Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Is that, she fine? Okay.
I don't understand because they're double dipping on Attica. Because Attica residents pay taxes that this $42,000 comes from. But now they're also getting charged themselves. So, I mean, that's just the way I look at it.
So I asked we asked afterward, as she was on her way out, what would you, how do you do your turnover? Should you just euthanize after
She said no.
and she won't euthanize, she said. So we're paying hotel fees for animals until they die. 9 years, 10 years, cats, dogs.
Right.
What if you just paid no hotel fees and paid an officer for, as county or the city does, Brad won't pay to her.
Right.
What if you just paid an officer? Like, Kenny is for the city, getting salaries. So if you just paid an officer 40,000 a year for doing.
Well, we pay him 40,000 a year, we also have to pay him retirement and benefits.
Got it. Okay.
There's always a caveat to it.
But all I'm thinking is you pay for just the service
Right,
as opposed to plus hotel fees.
right. Yeah, we discussed this, we did not like the fact that everybody pays in through their taxes, but yet she doesn't service the entire county. So this is the conundrum that we're in, and it will be brought up again at budget time again, so I'm sure we'll be discussing that.
So the other question, the other issue is, heard a couple times. We're in dire straits, sounds like. How, no specifics, any details you could share?
It's all coming back to mostly to, we have no idea what we're going to get. Come tax time. We were really watching what we're doing and spending. I don't like to say the word cuts, but we're gonna have to look at that as a possibility. Everybody has their wish list and, perfect world, I wish we could do everything that everyone would like, but it's, we're gonna do the best we can.
I think as a general overview, it's what we get coming in hasn't changed much at all. But what we're sending out, everybody's salaries has went up, everybody's office expenses have went up. I mean, inflation has caused everything to go up, salaries being the biggest thing. But we're not taking more in to offset that. So that's what we mean if we're.
So my question is that, how do we? Are we going to have enough money to build a salt mine? Did you remodel? How does that come out?
We'll have to borrow money for that.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, we're having to borrow money. So we don't have enough money.
We will have to.
We don't have enough money to pay the bills. So we'll borrow money and interest. And so you add on top of that interest. So
Without raising anybody's taxes.
yeah. So that's what I'm wondering is what is that, I'm not sure where when I started out my business. You're just starting a clientele. So how do you, you're barely making the bills, right? So you borrow money. You think, what do? Do I borrow money? Well, then I have to pay, I get a higher standard of living. But then I gotta pay that payment plus interest. I can't have a higher standard of living. I gotta keep my standard of living low enough to manage my clientele.
Well, with the salt barn.
It will pay for itself.
I understand the salt barn. I understand that.
We're running up against.
You lose.
Yes.
30%, he said, I think.
And we're running up against the possibility of getting in trouble.
Yeah, that too. Absolutely. Well, that's what I'm just saying, then.
We've done without for so many years and been just fine. Now all of a sudden it's come to a head and we thought it was gonna be addressed a couple of years ago. Jim, we've talked about it the whole 4 years I've been on here. And I know it's probably been talked about before I was on here. And so now it's came to a head and now we're in a position, we have to do something. Yes,
With Saltborn, I understand, that, but when we, how do we pay $225,000?
Have they looked into a possible discharge?
well, this building is basically, you've got the concrete walls that are gonna go up about 6 feet, and then you're gonna have your dome, basically. Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know if they.
And that's it.
Just tarping alone would help stop some of the seepage.
Yeah.
maybe, but I'm probably not.
They do that with corn, I see it down in Tuscola. There's a.
But those tarps aren't any cheaper than,
And then a building,
correct.
got it,
Then you gotta maintain them a different way.
got
And
it,
then there's degradation over time.
got it.
You mentioned Quonset the other day,
Yeah,
salt barn. I don't know what the salt will do to the structure, because salt barns are probably the normal way to go to wood.
well, I've seen them wood, but I've also seen them where they're just concrete about 6 or 8 feet up. Or maybe 10 feet, and then they start the dome.
I assume that's what ours is.
That's what ours will look like.
You can't use wood.
Tippecanoe County has one, it's, on Brady Lane before you get to 52, it'll be on your north side of that road, it's salt. Take a look at it sometime, it's looking pretty broken down, so. Carol?
Doug has suggested that on this animal control, that the money be allotted to each township. That way Attica will be double there.
Right.
And
I know we've been
holidays,
talking about that.
why do we have so many holidays?
Carol, I can't answer that.
There are only, what, 10 federal days?
I think,
Last year we had 17.
That's a question for the commissioners. They determine the number of holidays. Yep.
yeah, ask Aaron or.
Well, we get the election days off that the state doesn't get.
Mhm.
And the Friday after Thanksgiving is an extra one. There's some extras.
Yes,
What I fear with the budget crunches, and I think it's purposeful, is what they're doing, they're putting the counties in a position, not just our county, all the counties, in a position where you have to accept the solar money, the CO2 money, for the county itself, the government incorporated will survive. And that is why I'm here, is because I'm looking at the bigger picture as far as they're playing a long game. And the long game isn't for our benefit. And
I've heard that mentioned here several times.
the fact that we had one commissioner who's telling us how much money we're gonna give, they just need to buy into it. We can fix all this stuff. Tells me he knows what he's trying to do right now. Whether he just knows more than we do, I don't know.
Time will tell.
The last thing I had, Jason's not here,
Mhm.
but I have a question about public service road.
Okay.
You might drive down that road, you might not be able to get, you know, a turnaround in all probability.
Oh, okay, I know what road you're talking about, and yes, I got a phone call. And, just so you're aware, everyone, Jason has told them to cease operations until that road is repaired,
Yeah, that's so work companies are using that road, I assume.
Crossroads, and all of their construction
They haul
crews.
all their limestone down that road.
Yes,
And you bury your car about a
Yes.
third of the way down. And this is part of the whole issue that we've been discussing about with solar. I don't need to go into it any further, but what? I'm not gonna say anymore, you just have to go down.
yeah, I did get a phone call from Aaron that said Jason informed them that they are to cease operations until the road is repaired. And the road cannot be repaired right now due to the weather.
Well, I'm afraid that's what
So-
my road's gonna look like.
Yes.
There's supposed to be solar panels go at the end of my road.
Yes,
Now,
so,
I did come that way and there was a huge grader on the road working on it.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
I know this was a big concern, Jim, that you brought up several times.
Yeah.
Making sure we had a road use agreement and everything, so I think Jason's done a good job at telling him, stop right now until we get it fixed, so. And with that, can I get a motion? Dane.
Yeah, I wanna go back to the Division Road issue, so my in-laws live out there on Corporation Line Road, so I go that way a lot. And so here a couple weeks ago, I'm going out to my in-laws and lot turns and goes up Maple, but 2 semis. Loaded with stuff that looks like it was going to solar. I got ahead of them before we crossed 74, and I knew where they were going. I just blocked the road. And I asked them specifically, where are we going? And they said, well, we're going to the solar and we're going to the substation. I go, you're not coming in this way. You can go back down and go 136 and come in on the west end. But you're not coming in this end because you just came up from town. They got signs asking you not to do that. I think as a county, and it's more of a commissioner thing. I think we could make a little money on this deal by issuing fines, and it would not be an expensive thing to do. We can put that, you can go buy a cheap trail cam and put there at the corner of Bunce's property, shoot down there to catch the license plates of every truck. And then we just set the fine and penalty, you know, like this road you can't come down it. If you're a semi or a loaded truck, you can't come down it. If we would just change a little bit of our laws a little bit and put some fines and penalties on there, so we can assess huge fines on these trucks before we go down any more of these projects. And then you just put some cameras out there, we just go back and look at the cameras, we got license plates, look them up and issue them a fine. Yeah, and I think that would put some teeth behind it. Sure, go break the law, go break it, but if it's $1,000 every time, your loan just got more expensive going down the long way to go.
Well, that's something that the commissioners will have to address with the sheriff's department and possibly their attorney to make sure they're doing it the right way, so.
Yeah, the truckers were not real nice, you know, they proceeded to tell me that they would run over my vehicle, I think the other way, and said, I'll cop up here, because I go, you're in the wrong, I'm in the right, so I'm not moving.
Right, and it's the responsibility of the company to notify the semis of the route that they are to be using. So. All right, well, thank you.
Income, is there any way we know how much income the county has?
Oh, in the.
Do we have $11 million?
That's a good question, I don't know. I don't have my budget papers in front of me, so I don't know.
In the ending balance in the general fund is 11,660.
As of what day?
February 20.
Mhm.
And then there's others, but that's it.
Yeah, that's all we can speak of.
So when we get, that's the commissioners assigned, right?
Yes, we have
They're
nothing to do
okay,
with that,
okay, got it.
yep.
We just have copies of it, okay.
I just, you know,
I just
my
told,
thought is I wanted to make sure that that was changed over before anybody signed anything.
I told Jason I'd report on it, so everybody knew Attica was taken care of.
All right. Hearing nothing further, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Todd and seconded by Jim, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We all have to sign this. Okay, we all have to sign this real quick. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's 5 of them now. Sorry, that's okay. The first one is
My
the
bladder has time to sign it.
appropriation for the health department on the page behind it. Worst handwriting I've ever had.